Okay, so I guess I'm gonna just start talking. So thank you so much for watching today. What am I even saying? Okay. So it was a couple days ago. I was thinking back on some of my past experiences. So some of you may or may not know that I have done some short-term missionary work before, and a couple of these experiences were human sex trafficking ministries. So if you don't know what that is, basically human sex trafficking is when somebody, usually women, are they are either captured and forced to sell themselves sexually for money, or they can also be tricked into some sort of circumstance that forces them to be in debt and to, you know what, let me just explain. Let me just explain the scenario I was in, because honestly, you can look up human sex trafficking and it's quite different when you compare it country to country. There's a whole lot of issues with it. Yeah, it's a big deal. So I've helped out with two different types of ministries, and one of these was called Wipe Every Tear, and it is in the Philippines. There's that. The Philippines, the way it works there might be different from some other experiences that you might have heard of from other people. Just do your research. I'm just putting that out there. So basically how it works in the Philippines is girls are often in, like, it's a bunch of islands. The Philippines is a lot of islands. Further away from the city, there's more poverty perhaps, and so there might be people that are very, 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 very desperate for a job, very desperate for money. Usually in some of these scattered, like, rural areas, far off islands, that is where somebody that wants to traffic a girl will go. They will go out searching for women or girls, sometimes very young, underage girls. The youngest one I ever met was probably about 14. And they'll tell them, hey, we have a job. Like, we have a job lined up, waitressing job. It's in this city and it's in the mainland. So oftentimes these girls, so desperate, will be like, oh, okay, so I'll totally take this. I'll totally take this job. And let me just emphasize something to you. The economy in that country is very different from my own. It's very different from probably your own. And it is nearly impossible to land a job unless you have a college degree. I am not joking. So you go into a McDonald's, you ask, like, all right, who here has a college degree? Basically all of them will raise their hand. You get people that are, like, offering this job that does not require a high school diploma, doesn't require a college degree. They're like, okay, well, big steal. Like, my family's desperate. Sometimes they're supporting their mom and dad, grandparents. A lot of these women have children, and very desperate circumstances. So what these girls will do, they get this job offer from these human traffickers, and they will spend every last penny that they own, because they're desperate for money, every last penny, just to travel from that island to, like, for example, the mainland, which most likely it would be, maybe Manila area, or, yeah, that whole area. Every last penny they own, they get there, they get to the location, and they say to these girls, oh, I'm so sorry. your job was just given away. And now you have to put on this set of lingerie. Some of these girls are 14, just keep that in mind. And you have to go on stage and dance, and if a man comes by and offers to buy you off for the night, there's that. It's a lot more complicated than that, but I hope you understand the idea. So I've done outreaches directly in the bars before, and very short term. So I got to meet so many of these girls that had been taken out of these circumstances. And so what you can offer them to help them get out of their circumstances. You can offer them a place to live, rent-free. All the money is donated through this charity. You can offer them enough finances to cover their expenses that their family needs, that they need, and their kids might need if they have any children. You can offer, free education. A lot of these women haven't even finished high school. Some of them haven't even started high school. I met one girl, the last grade she had finished was 5th grade. And so not only would they finish high school, but they'd also, their expenses for college completely covered. And I believe there's also counseling services that are also free and included, because their circumstances are they're so needed. So when I first got there, I met a lot of the girls, and they shared their stories about how they got taken out. Oh, by the way, this is a Christian charity. This is a Christian mission organization. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's non-denominational. I'm not really sure. And I met some of these women that had been taken out of their circumstances, and a lot of them are transgender women. About a third of them, honestly, that had escaped out of human sex trafficking and the trap that it was. Oh, one other detail. So when these girls are tricked into going to these jobs, they don't have a place to stay. They don't have money for food, really. They have no choice in their circumstances. They have to take that job. They don't have a degree to get another job. So these are very, very vulnerable people. They, so I believe the mama-san, basically the person that runs the whole show, runs the bar, she or he, it could be a papa-san, will offer a place for them to live and stay, but she is automatically in debt to the mama-san. So, and like for food and all that. So they intentionally try to make it so these girls will never get out of debt with the expenses that they charge them. Anyway, so I met some of these girls that had gotten out of the circumstances. Some of them were transgender women, about a third of them, honestly. And they had some really crazy stories. You wouldn't believe, like, the degree of abuse that some of these women had to go through. Whether it's abuse by other people they were working with, or clients, you know. And honestly, in the hotel I was staying in, when I was there for the short time that I was, a few weeks before that, a girl that had been, in the bars, had gone back to that hotel with a customer, and he shot her, so yeah. Anyway, So a lot of us, we would go with the girls that had been through this before, that had like come out, that were in school, that were doing well, that had their children back with them, that had received so much healing. A lot of them had received the Lord, and they were all like laughing and playing games together, and we were playing volleyball. Yeah. And they were applying for jobs as they were graduating college. So these girls, sorry. These girls and I, and a few others that I was with, actually there were a lot of us, we all went out to the bars because that's what we do. We would go out to the bars and we would talk to them, get to know them, get to know their stories, where they came from, if they had kids. We asked how old they were, but keep in mind you're going to get a lot of false answers for things like that. Many times the youngest ones that are not of legal age to be in a facility serving alcohol, they will just tell you that they are 18 or 19. And it is what it is. So most of them, I think, were ranged between maybe 13 and 25-ish. And there are some older ones too, I think up to their 40s about. But the thing is, after you reach your 40s, there's a cutoff, and I won't get into that, it's complicated. So we'll talk to them, we'll get to know their stories, and you know, if they have friends or like, yeah. It's really hard to ask the question, but you have to ask, because it has to come up at some point. You ask them, like, do you like working here? And I know in the comments of my Facebook before, I have talked about human sex trafficking before. I have talked about human sex trafficking before and what a big issue it is. And a lot of my non-Christian friends, the ones that aren't as well researched on the subject, they didn't really understand. They thought women who sell themselves for sex must enjoy it. They must feel empowered, right? They're just doing what they love. Why would you take that away from them? So you ask them that question, like, do you like working here? And not one person will say yes. Not one girl. They're like, no. I hate this so much. I would rather die. But I have people to help. I have my family. They don't know that I'm here. Not one girl will say she likes it. Even though she's trying to keep the customers happy, even though a lot of them will try to fake being happy and dancing around, they're not going to lie to you for that. They will lie about other things. Not relevant. You have to understand, you explain what Wipe Every Tear does and what we can do for them. You ask them, like, are they in school? They never are. What grade they were in the last time they were in school. And they'll tell you, and you're like, well, you know what? If you wipe every tear, we can help you. We can give you, it's a charity, and they don't want you to live this way. We're a Christian charity of missionaries. And the Philippines is very Catholic, so they understand what missionaries are. They understand how serious it is. So it helps sometimes just to say that. And, like, we can help you. We can get you a free place to stay. Get you free food. We can, get you education. You can finish high school, and then you can go to college, and it will be paid for. And you'll have hope for a future, for a job that isn't like this, and you don't have to work here. I'm sorry. Oh God, I didn't think I was gonna cry this early. Okay. You don't have to work here. And they'll be like, I have debt. I owe the mama son money. Like, we can pay for your debt. It doesn't matter. We can help. We don't want you to live like this. And if you can meet with us, I think it was either like tomorrow or the day after. If you meet with us, we can take you to the houses where all the girls are. You can meet them all, and like some of them are with us already, so they're telling their stories. You can meet them. You can see what the place is like to live. You can check it out. You don't have to say yes right away. Like you don't have to. You can just meet with us. You can just hang out, and we'll talk. You can meet everybody, ask all the questions you need to know. And this is a very common thing to do, at least in Southeast Asia. But they'll just say, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Very nonchalant. The thing is, if you're from a Western culture, you might not understand. We like to be very straight with people. We like yes, no, being as honest as possible. I mean, not always, but usually, like, most of the time. But in Eastern cultures, shame is a huge thing. So if they make you feel ashamed in front of anybody or whatever, then that's a bad thing. And that's worse than telling the truth. So they'll say yes, and they don't necessarily mean it. It's really hard to know if they mean it and when they mean it. And yeah. So you might be really convinced that somebody's going to go and meet with you, and they'll never come, and they don't have the intention of doing it. I don't really know what's going on in their heads. Sometimes maybe they're afraid because they were already tricked before. They were tricked into this hope of a job that just exploited them for everything. Exploited them and their, yeah. And maybe, like, they never thought they would be doing something like this. So, it might be because of mistrust. And, it might be that maybe they do kind of believe you, but there's just so much fear because of that mistrust. They might say yes, and then they just don't go because they're scared. So, yeah. And some of the girls, they don't necessarily say no. Or, I mean, they don't, that's not what I meant. Some of the girls, they don't necessarily say yes. Like, I had one girl, she said, because I gave her the card of the organization, just so she would have contact info, no matter what. And she said, I'm not ready, like, in a month, I'll be ready then. I just think, I don't know what could change in a month. Maybe it's more honest than some of the other people. Maybe that is good. But, like, why are you waiting? I don't understand. It's not like you have to be good enough to be there. And this all happened years ago. So this maybe happened 3 years ago, I guess, that I was helping out with this organization. And I was just talking to God about it, because I did see girls leave after that, and they brought more with them. But I saw hundreds and hundreds of girls going in and out of bars. I talked to probably over 15, 20 of them. I'm not really sure. Actually, I have no idea. It was definitely so many girls. I talked to so many. And almost only 3 of them showed up. And I was so happy that the 3 showed up. And I was crying because I was so happy. But here's the thing. There were hundreds of them in every bar. It was probably an average on the low end of 20 of them, and maybe on the high end 50, 60, 70 girls in one bar. You wouldn't believe it. They're so big. And my heart still breaks for them. And the ones that I talked to, did get the chance to talk to, the ones that didn't show up, I just don't, it makes me so sad to know that we had everything set up for them. We could have anything they needed, everything covered, no worries off the back. They hated being there. They hated having to have sex with strangers. They creepy old men, random scary people, having to go back to the same hotel, especially as where some girl got shot the week before, that was in your shoes. It's not fun. I don't know personally, but there's nothing desirable about that. And we had all the resources, and we offered it to them. We got to know them by name. But they still didn't show up. And my heart breaks for that. We could have their debts paid, have food, education, everything, kids covered. And I'm looking, occasionally I will see updates from some of the women that are no longer in that scene, that were spared from that. And I just think what could be. I saw one girl, she had posted her photo. She had graduated college. She had gotten all dressed up for her first day of work. She was looking super professional. And she was very happy. She was healed, emotionally, spiritually. And Jesus healed her. And those other girls that never came, that could be them. And it just, I don't even know. There's so many of them. It could be them. And I'm just asking God, I'm like, why? Why can't the other girls say yes? Why can't they show up? And God took how I felt in that, and he showed me something new. He said, that is exactly what happens. The way you are feeling right now, it's an exact representation of what happens when people don't accept me. They don't accept. Gosh. When they don't accept me, and this is what happens. He said, what you did. He went into those really dark places, and it's not like you didn't want to buy girls, obviously. You didn't want to exploit them the way other people did. You didn't want to hurt them. You didn't want to take advantage of them. You didn't want to buy them for a night. Unlike everyone else there, you just wanted to offer them, in those really dark places, freedom. And he said, so many of my people, the people I created, they're in those dark places, and I come to them. And I say, you can have all of this. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to sell yourself anymore. You don't have to go to bed crying every night. You don't have to be, you don't have to be captured by your sin. It doesn't have to impact you anymore. I died for this. I'm here to set you free. I did all this, and God, I can't, I'm so sorry, it's too much. What I've done is too much. I have all this debt. And he said, I can pay your debt. I paid your debt. I died for you. Now just come. Come and see. It is what it is. And a lot of the time, he said, my people will say yes to me. They don't come. They don't come to me. They don't repent. They don't want to live with me and let me transform them. They just continue. They hate it, and they don't want to be there. But they reject me anyway. And he said, my heart breaks for so many people. Just because they don't know if they can trust me. So, yeah. But just know that even if so many people say no, or so many people reject the gospel, or kind of say yes, but then they don't really follow Jesus, just know, no matter what, by sharing that, you are doing the right thing. It is better to do something than nothing. And just know, even if most people say no, or most people are kind of like, oh yeah, okay, and then turn away, just know that some people will say yes. And my question is, are you going to be able to continue to go into those dark places that you don't want to go into for the sake of the gospel? Yeah, because the consequences of sin is death. But Jesus is greater, so yeah. I would just really encourage you, if you have either said yes to the Lord in the past and you've walked away from Him, you can take this chance now. You can pray to God. You just say, "Dear Jesus, I'm really sorry that I'm a sinner. I did this and that and whatever. I know that you died on the cross for me, to save me from my sins, so that I can have eternal life, and I want that. I want to turn away from all this. I don't want to live like this anymore, and I don't want to live like this anymore." And He will do that. He will be there for you. You don't have to be perfect right away. You don't have to have it all together. There are so many people, like maybe that girl, she was just like, in a month, in a month. Like, why not now? You don't have to have it all together. You can just come. God will transform you, and He will make you new. Just keep spending time with Him. Read the Bible, and all that good stuff. Find a church community so they can help you to grow and to learn in community, and you can learn from each other. So that was God sharing His heart for me and for you and for every single person on this earth. I just keep thinking about it, and just thinking about it makes me cry way too much, and I'm not really much of a crier, so anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this came out good. I hope I don't have to edit too much. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. You can give it a like, you can give it a dislike. I don't really care. But yes. So may the love of God be with you always.